Welcome to the space for transformational leaders to unleash their magic, see better client results, work lighter, and live source. Hi, this is Darla LeDoux, founder of Sourced and author of Shift the Field. Let's play in a new paradigm, shall we? Today I'm going to cover 3 energetic principles that allow you to create in your business in such a way that you and your clients are invited to play in a whole new playground. How does that sound? So there's 3 key principles I want to distinguish for us today, but I want to start with kind of painting a picture of why. I recently hosted my signature event, Shift the Field Live, and one of the conversations we had was about this idea of where you create from. We're always creating from one of 2 places. We are creating to avoid something or control something. This is based on what I call default energy, or using a methodology for creation that we've used in the past, or a survival pattern we've used in the past that worked because we survived, and so therefore it must have worked. And we use that now in order to try to control the outcome in the future. So we're actually creating to avoid some kind of bad outcome rather than creating to create. And creating to create is creating from a place of love in the present moment based on what we feel drawn to create in the moment. So I want you just to pause and think about how much of your life is created over here and how much of your life is created over here. I had to really take a hard look at that this year with my coach, Daniel Hyman, who distinguished this for me and helped me to see how much I was actually creating to avoid the outcome I didn't want, as opposed to creating to create from the moment based on trusting the energy and trusting what arises. So I dove deep into my personal experience in the last year of learning to trust the energy in the moment and really surrendering to my ability to do that. And it's changed everything for me. So with that, I want to give you just 3 considerations that will help you to spend more time creating to create and less time creating in order to avoid. They are as follows. First, creating to create happens in the present moment. So there's no thinking about, there's no figuring out, there's no strategizing, there's none of that. It happens in the present moment, in connection with source, right? When we are allowing ourselves to hear our inner knowing or our truth or our heart or where we are called to now in the present moment. And so we cannot figure out 18 steps down the line and be creating to create, right? Creating to create unfolds in the present moment. It might dictate our direction in the future, right? Like you get a download of an amazing idea and you start to set it in motion and it sets you toward a future. But as soon as our brain comes in and tries to figure out what to do with it and how to survive, how to manipulate the universe to give us the result we want, then we're shutting down actually that creative energy. And we're shutting down the magnetism that will naturally come when we create to create. The second principle I want to talk about, energetic principle, is innovation or creating something unique, distinct, that's yours, that's of your energy signature. Innovation happens with and through other people. So let's talk about this, okay? We could unpack this. I could unpack this in a lot of ways. When we think, okay, I need to create something brilliant in my business, a new piece of content or designing my retreat, which I've helped people with for years, we can have a tendency to say, I'm going to go off on my own with my flip chart and my markers and figure it out. And so many people end up stuck there alone, trying to figure it out, get it right, have the right program, the right content, the right message, the right everything before they launch. And the issue with that is that, you notice I'm pointing over here, right? That's totally coming from creating to avoid. Creating to avoid putting something out there that doesn't work. Creating to avoid being embarrassed. Creating to avoid doing it wrong. Creating to avoid doing something that's not amazing, right? And so as soon as we're coming from that place, again, we're shutting down the energy. Innovation happens with and through people. When we are with people, we are in the present moment, and we are therefore creating to create. One of the tools I use in my business and with my clients is called your sourced magic. It's the way your inner knowing or source works through you as an inner knowing. When we are with other people, there's a couple ways we can think about this. The first is, if you're familiar with human design, we all have different centers and channels and gates within our human design that are either open or closed, meaning we either always have access to them, or if they're open, we need other people to activate them, to activate these parts of us. So most of us aren't going around with everything filled in. We actually need other people to help us access connections between our vital energy centers. And so we need other people in order to create. Another way to think about it is, when you are sitting alone figuring it out, you're not actually responding to anything. Whereas when you're with people, right, you will know what to say. I talk about this a lot with our certification clients, that your best self shows up when you're in service to an actual human being. Because we let our ego go most of the time. We actually train people how to do that, right? So their ego isn't in the conversation. But you will be willing to let yourself go and show up in service of other people. Whereas when you're on your own, all you're thinking about is, what are people going to think of me if I teach this, if I say this, if I show up like this? When you're actually with the people and it's in service of them, you're going to find yourself saying things, expressing things, teaching things. In fact, this teaching has shown up as a result of me just spending time with people last week and sharing, right? So the innovation of your message, and we call it your masterpiece that you're creating in your business, comes when you are showing up with actual humans. Breathe that in, right? It's not about getting it all perfect. It's an organic thing that we're creating and building as a business that serves other humans. And we create it organically by actually serving other humans. And then going, oh, how did that work? What did I learn? What did I not learn? But when you're in creating to avoid, that feels very threatening. And so then we don't do it. And that's why so many people can end up staying stuck, or end up in a place where they're presenting other people's ideas, or presenting what the safe version of what source really would want them to talk about if they were creating to create. The third distinction I want to bring forward in this new way of creating is, when we create to create, we're actually stepping into a new energy or a new playground. So this is a teaching I have. It's in my book, Shift the Field, called The Old Tired Path. I'm not going to go into it in depth, but when we are creating to avoid, it is a well-worn path, okay? We are thinking that one end of the path looks different than the other end of the path, and we're trying to get from one end to the other, but the truth is it's all the same energy. So when we're creating to avoid, we are literally doing the same thing over and over again. We are in Groundhog Day, for those who remember that movie. And in order to actually innovate or create something new, we have to step off of this path into a whole new energetic playground. Our logical mind will never get us there. This process of stepping off the old tired path, I'm enough, I'm not enough. There's an abundance of time, there's a scarcity of time, whatever it may be. Stepping off of that and onto a whole new energetic paradigm, that is what we here at Sourced train people to do, coaches, consultants, creatives, and healers, within our Certified Sourced Leader program. So we train people both in one-on-one relationships and in a group context. How do you help your clients get off of this line of the old energy, the default energy, and into a whole new paradigm or a whole new playground, a sourced playground, where they get to create just for the sake of it and watch the magnetic results come in. If you're leaning into this, we are currently enrolling in our Certified Sourced Leader program. It's this week only. We opened registration at our event last week, and we will close it this coming weekend. So if this is speaking to you, first of all, on a personal level, if you want to be more and more in the practice of creating to create just for the sake of it, just for the love of it, this is for you. You're invited. And especially if you want to be able to hold this, implement these 3 principles into your own life in such a way that you can hold it for your clients as well, that you're super skilled at getting them from here to here over and over and over again. If that feels like you, there is a link below this video where you can find a description and an application to apply for the Certified Source Leader program. Applications close Saturday night, and we will be interviewing people next week. We want to make sure it's a great fit for you, so there's no commitment to apply. We'll review your application and make a recommendation with you next week. What are you taking from this video? I would love to hear. How is this opening up a new possibility for how you might show up and create in your business and in your life? This is Darla LeDoux signing off, and we'll see you next week.